Hey guys, and welcome to the WWE podcast. Tonight we have the Botch Guy returning for your Elimination Chamber review. A pay-per-view that both of us seemed relatively underwhelmed by. We do go over some highlights, and yes, of course, good God Almighty, The Miz is WWE Champion. Let's get everything going right after this. So you guys want to check out some really cool apparel and accessories while at the same time supporting a veteran-owned business? Then check out MaccabeeApparel.com. That's Maccabee, M-A-C-C-A-B-E-E, apparel.com. That's M-A-C-C-A-B-E-E, apparel.com. So what's really cool and unique about the clothing and accessories that are sold on here is it's a biblical warrior theme. Yeah, how often do you hear that, right? And the clothing on here is everything from a gym shirt to just a plain old t-shirt. There's jackets, there's backpacks, and there's polo shirts. So really, there's everything you could think of to wear that has a biblical warrior theme. And the accessories are everything from coffee mugs to decals to a phone case to ties, magnets, and everything in between. So check out MaccabeeApparel.com. That's M-A-C-C-A-B-E-E, apparel.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at Maccabee Army or on Instagram at Maccabee_apparel. Or on Facebook at facebook.com/Maccabee Apparel. Again, Maccabee is spelled M-A-C-C-A-B-E-E. Go check it out and go support a veteran-owned business today.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said, give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get the show started right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Elimination Chamber review show. Oh man, I know that many of you are just as surprised as I am as the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view goes off the air with The Miz holding up the WWE Championship after he cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, I know many of you are thinking, man, how is this not an explicit podcast? Well, I will say this. If it wasn't for my sponsors, this would be really an embarrassingly profane show. I mean, you'd have to put the women and children to bed. But I'm trying to be the bigger person here. I'm struggling. You can feel the internal struggle in myself of not making this an explicit podcast. I actually had to edit out some of the four-letter words between the Botch Guy and myself during our conversation, and so we did slip a few times. And I'm actually thinking about doing this. If you guys are interested, maybe there's not even an audience for it, but if you guys are interested in an explicit version of the show, where maybe it's a separate feed, I wouldn't put it on this feed because, again, with my sponsors, it just, I don't want to hurt my wallet for saying a couple of four-letter words. Just makes sense, right? But on a separate feed where it wouldn't matter, would you guys subscribe? Would you even want something like that, or are you not into that kind of thing and you can get that on another wrestling podcast? I don't know. And I wouldn't cuss just to cuss. It would be genuine emotion, right? And this is one of those moments where I want to explode. And I'm containing and using every ounce of my strength to make sure that I don't, with The Miz as WWE Champion. Even saying that, I feel like I'm in a bad dream. So, yeah, it's true. It is unfortunately true. We do have a new WWE Champion, but there are some really good things that happen on the show, albeit a very kind of ho-hum show, very just kind of bland pay-per-view, weirdly bland. We did have some highlights, and we'll get to those and some really good things, particularly with Bobby Lashley, who is probably the most exciting thing about the show right now was Bobby Lashley. And even though in a loss, I think he got elevated. And that is a really, really good thing with potential main event WrestleMania implications on the horizon for Bobby Lashley. So hopefully we get there in just a few short months, couple of months, less than 2 months now. I mean, my gosh, really, 8 weeks until WrestleMania. So not long until we get there. But all right, well, thank you guys, everybody, again for joining us here on the WWE podcast for this official Elimination Chamber review show. If you haven't checked out the Botch Guy, go check him out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. He's already going viral with some of his videos. He is entertaining as hell. His videos are a minute to 2 minutes long, quick, easy watch, entertaining, genuine, And he's everything you'd want in a wrestling YouTuber. So go check out the Botch Guy on YouTube. Really, really good stuff. If you want an ad-free version, by the way, too, if you're not a big fan of the ads, head on over to patreon.com/WWE podcast or search for the WWE podcast on Patreon, and you won't have to deal with any ads. Very, very easy peasy. $1 a month gets you the entire library ad-free, by the way. Okay, one last plug. I promise we're going to get to the Botch Guy and a lot of content with us. Is if you want to also support the show, click on the Amazon banner in the middle of our WWE podcast website. If you click on the banner, it redirects you to Amazon. It's just a way that tells Amazon we sent you, and it gives us a little kickback from whatever you buy. That's all. All right, enough of that. Here comes the Botch Guy and myself with about an hour, a little over an hour review of Elimination Chamber. I will be back on Tuesday for your Raw review, maybe with a co-host. I do want to make good on the Ashley just complete debacle that I had with our co-host last night. I feel just awful about that, with Ashley's conversation not getting recorded correctly. And so anyway, guys, thank you so much. Hope you enjoy this. And as always, I'll talk to you next time. All right, well, it is time for your official elimination review and thoughts and reactions and possible cuss words to this pay-per-view. And right now I've got, you know who he is, the Botch Guy from YouTube. He's been on, I think, the last 5 or 6 pay-per-views that WWE has had. And you guys have been giving me a lot of positive feedback from his channel. And I know that if you haven't subscribed, absolutely go do it. But man, the Botch Guy is back. I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts on tonight's pay-per-view. So first of all, how you doing, man?
Is the positive feedback from my mom and my dad and all my friends that watch and listen to your podcast?
And Botchy's YouTube channel.
And you're trying to plug my Golden Doodle Botchy YouTube channel too? What a good guy. See how I threw that in there?
See?
By the way,
very, very seamless.
That's a unique talent you have to learn after a while.
No, it's like muscle reflex. Yes,
that's right.
It's so true. Muscle reflex.
We've done this for so long, Matt. We figured it out, eh?
It's muscle memory, man. But so we'll get into the chamber in just a second. But if those of you who haven't heard of the Botch Guy, tell everybody what you do, where they can find you.
Hey, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm called the Botch Guy. I'm on YouTube. Mostly, I do parody, reaction, commentary, and do some great videos over there. So I think great videos. That's what people are telling me. I don't know. Who knows, right? But honestly, I just try to put smiles on people's faces. I know you probably heard that cliche a lot, but it really is the case. And I just do videos there literally daily. I have community posts there daily, and I live stream and blah, 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 blah. I can talk about it for an hour, but I really appreciate you having me here talking some Elimination Chamber. Where's the Miz girl?
Oh man. I am going to wait towards the end of the show to talk about the Miz, because by then maybe I won't be so heated, or maybe the frustration will build throughout the show. I don't know. One way or the other, I'm very concerned about my language on this show as we continue. But I got to ask you, overall, though, what did you think about the Chamber pay-per-view? Did you feel kind of underwhelmed? Did you feel like it exceeded expectations? What were your general thoughts?
But that's the interesting thing, right? Because from what I'm reading, from what I'm reading online on the interweb, right? Basically, I'm hearing positivity throughout this Elimination Chamber. But I'll be honest, I thought it was pretty average. There wasn't any really standout moments except for maybe the Cesaro one. We'll talk about that. And, of course, the standout and maybe in the wrong way with The Miz cashing in, at the very end of the show. But, I thought there was, really weird disjointed members or matches there and weird moments like Asuka not showing up and The Fiend not showing up. Seriously, Matt, I had a thumbnail ready. I had it all ready to go. I'm recording. And I'm like, this is it. This is The Fiend's going to return. I'm going to be quick on it. I'm going to be entertaining on it. And he never showed up. I'm like, oh, that's just so weird, right? And so, I don't know, man. I feel the show was fine, but, I don't feel it was anything special. You want to know what it was? It was a filler pay-per-view before the big WrestleMania that's about to come. But then The Miz wins. So, I don't know, man.
No, I'm trying to lay out. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. And don't forget about Fastlane, though. We got Fastlane in 4 weeks.
We have another one?
We got Fastlane in 4 weeks, man.
Oh, my God. I forgot about Fastlane.
So you talk about filler pay-per-views. I mean, so Fastlane is that next filler before we get to the main event. So yeah, we've got a little bit more time to go before we look at WrestleMania staring it in the face. But yeah, I'm with you. I thought the pay-per-view it was kind of like, it was ho-hum. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's not a pay-per-view I'm going to go back and rewatch probably ever in my life. It's just one of those ones that go, okay, like I see where they're going and what they're doing. There were no real terrible matches. I didn't think there were any really amazing matches. Everything, including both chamber matches, albeit some really good spots in both, and shining moments in really all the matches. Nothing seemed to really go, oh my God, this is awesome. And I will say this, if there was a live crowd there, they probably would have gone home like, that didn't feel like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But
I think that would be just in stun. Like, this is where I feel not having a crowd really hurts the product. It really hurts it, because The Miz coming in to win, like, would it have been a cheering reaction? Would have been a booing reaction? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they would have actually reacted to that ending, because it was like a shocking moment. And when there's shocking moments, people seem to cheer, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they would have reacted to that. And I think that would be kind of cool to see. But again, which is odd, is based off like Twitter and other social media platforms, the reaction has been pretty positive, which is weird to me. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just a negative guy on this show tonight.
Well, there is also no other real sports competition right now. I mean, it's kind of that weird phase where there's not really a whole lot of sports going on. Football's now done. Baseball's not quite ready yet. You were in that weird zone. College football or college basketball, the March Madness isn't here yet. WWE is really the only game in town, so it's like people aren't, it's either this or nothing, right? Like, it's either this or Netflix or Hulu or whatever else people are binge watching. So perhaps people were just in a better mood to appreciate something on TV sports-like. I don't know. But I'm not in that camp. I think if I was going to give a letter grade, I'd give it like a C minus. Like I'm kind of like average to maybe a little bit below, especially given the card. I was actually really excited going into this pay-per-view. So let's dive into it, and we'll start with the kickoff, which was a qualifier to fill Keith Lee's spot. Keith Lee, an injury, a late injury, late scrap. I honestly don't know, maybe you do, of exactly what happened to Keith Lee injury-wise, but we got this match with Mustafa Ali, John Morrison, Ricochet, Elias, and whoever won that match was going to go on. We obviously know that it ended up being John Morrison, who I think did a very, very nice job in the chamber, to be honest. And it was nice to not hear him act like a sophomore in high school with The Miz and show that he can actually be a hell of a performer in the ring. But John Morrison wins in a match that, again, wasn't very long, but it did what it needed to do, and I was fine with it. It was good. I mean, you have hell of all these talent. I mean, outside of Elias, who's kind of the outlier, all four of these guys really are excellent performers, and it was kind of what you thought.
Well, the nice thing, first of all, Elias has the best entrance theme out of all of them. I just want to. That's the only thing.
Well, he has that.
Say,
yes.
But he does have that. Honestly, from what I heard, like again, this is just speculation, so don't take my word for anything. But based off what social media is saying, some of the outlets that are reporting is with Keith Lee. Maybe it might be related with a COVID scare because his wife or girlfriend got it, and maybe something happened there, but nothing's confirmed then, so it's don't take it for like fact or anything like that, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. As for the match itself, Mustafa Ali I thought looked really, really good. I feel like every one of the performers did what they had to do. Like even Elias had a beautiful knee there, like just an amazing knee. And I thought the winner of the match was a bit surprising for me. I thought they would go with maybe Ricochet, who's had a pretty good run recently. Again, his biggest problem is his mic skills. But it was a little surprising when John Morrison came out and won. And I thought maybe then John wins later on, and then The Miz cashes in on John for the U.S. Championship or something crazy like that. But I don't know. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good match. I think a good solid, it was a pre-show match, right? So a good solid pre-show match or a good solid match. I don't think there was anything too crazy, but it was solid. It was good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, this is exactly what you'd expect from a pre-show, and actually in some ways exceeds the pre-show expectations. I mean, pre-show is kind of, you don't exactly have a very high bar for a pre-show match, and I think this exceeded that, whatever that means for a low bar in a match. But again, I have no complaints about this match, and John Morrison, as you said, to me that was a big surprise. Out of all the people who are in this match, you would think Ricochet is probably the most likely. Then probably Mustafa Ali as the leader of Retribution, again, for whatever the hell that's worth. But then John Morrison and then Elias. Like, if you were going to rank them in probability, I would think John Morrison would probably be third in possible entry into the Elimination Chamber. But he got in. And, we'll get to that chamber. Well, we'll get to that chamber right now because that was the next match right on the show. The very first match on the show was the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns Roman Reigns would challenge the winner of this match. Daniel Bryan, Lashley. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm getting all my text mixed up here. We had Daniel Bryan. We had Kofi Kingston. We had Cesaro. Who do you think, when you go into this match, did you have any idea? Were you very confident in who was going to win this match before you kind of analyzed? Did you feel very strongly about who was going to win this?
If possible, I want to get your opinion first because I have quite a lot to say about this. I'm actually curious what you think first.
I felt very confident Cesaro was going to win this. And the reason I thought Cesaro was going to win this is because they have been laying the foundation very nicely over the last several weeks. And for Cesaro, because he's gotten really big wins, 2 very decisive wins over Daniel Bryan. He has found his own voice. He doesn't feel like he's playing a gimmick anymore. He feels like he's just himself. He's not the weird James Bond character. He's not part of the bar. He's just him as this wrestling purist, which is exactly what he is. Fans respect the hell out of him. And it felt just like it's Cesaro's time. The momentum with him was on the upswing big time. And I felt, well, he's going to win it. Roman Reigns is going to come out immediately after. And it's going to be exactly what we saw with Daniel, except with Cesaro. And then, we possibly get a rematch at Fastlane. And, could he have main evented WrestleMania with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Yeah, he could have. Cesaro could have done that with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But, looking at what Vince McMahon sees and what Vince McMahon looks at for WrestleMania and says, hey, what are the biggest names? What is the biggest matchup we can make for WrestleMania? You kind of get your hopes up and then down and realize that Vince McMahon's going to go with Edge. Again, I'm not complaining about that, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I thought for sure it was going to be Cesaro, not Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan has been kind of behind the scenes dealing with the Alpha Academy, losing to Cesaro. There were no real signs to me that Daniel Bryan should win this. It's not 2014 anymore. I love Daniel Bryan, but to me, it was Cesaro's time, and I was disappointed that Cesaro didn't win this match. So I was very confident Cesaro was going to win, and he didn't. What about you?
Well, to be completely honest, I can't agree more. I thought Cesaro was going to win this for the big reason of basically it's going to be someone having a match with Roman Reigns immediately after. The moment I heard that, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is like a good chance to give Cesaro a nice, beautiful, kind of like a thank you for all the hard work you've been putting in. Here's your main event match, or I guess not main event match, but here's your match with the main eventer, Roman Reigns. This is something like a big thank you for them. And once again, Cesaro looked absolutely amazing. Like, this guy has everything except for maybe the look. And I know I don't like saying that because I am a big fan. As a hardcore wrestling fan, I am a big fan. But like I'll give you an example. My wife, whenever I try to drag her to watch some wrestling because she thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. Honestly, I pretty much go around and I'm like, look, so who do you like about these guys? She's like, oh, well, there's no chance this hairy guy with no shirt's gonna win because he looks ridiculous. And I'm like, this is a casual opinion of a wrestler who is one of the most talented, amazing wrestlers out there, right? And that's his problem. That's the biggest problem with him. And then I asked her about Daniel Bryan, and she knows who Daniel Bryan because of the Bella shows and all the other stuff that goes on. And so it's kind of weird to see that perspective between the casual, or not even fan base, but the casual people and then the hardcore people. I thought Cesaro was brilliant. The pull-ups, man, at the top of the cage. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. How good was that? Honestly, that.
It's one of those deals. We all know how Cesaro is. So they constantly tell us how strong he is, and he's pound for pound the strongest man in WWE. I believe that. I mean, I think that's a shoot that he is literally that strong. I believe it. But yeah, that kind of thing. It is just Cesaro's a guy that, with all of his kind of lackadaisical or mediocre look to him and his mediocre promos, he's so good in the ring, and the things that he does like that really make up for a lot of that stuff that he does. I mean, for what he lacks, he makes up for more than in the ring. And yeah, that was great. The uppercuts he does are just insane. The swing, I will say, if I was in the swing, that's one move I would not want to take. I mean, he does the swing in a way that just... the guys must get extremely nauseous after he does it like 10, 12 times. I mean, that's a move that, I mean, you can't fake being dizzy. I mean, you got to be, discombobulated for a good 30, 40 seconds or more. So, but Cesaro, again, I was really disappointed that he didn't win. I know Daniel Bryan's still kind of a fan favorite, but in a way that's like, well, he was cool. We all know he's on the back end of his career. We don't hate him, but we understand that his time is kind of come and gone, and he's not going to be the focus of the WWE for the long term. So it felt like Cesaro would have been great timing, especially if Edge maybe hadn't have been there. But yeah, as far as the rest of the guys in the match go, Sami Zayn doing his whole bit about the camera crew following him and the conspiracy theory. I mean, I'm a big Sami Zayn fan in that whole thing.
You're the biggest Sami Zayn fan out there.
I know, and some people hate it and they think it's annoying or stupid. Sami Zayn, to me, I could hear him on the microphone for an hour, just how stupid and just the conspiracy theories and all the things that he talks about are just insane, but I love it. Jey Uso had a big night with apparently the splash being the kiss of death for a lot of guys. Kevin Owens hit a couple of stunners. He ends up losing, though. I know that some people felt Kevin Owens was going to win, but I wouldn't want a fourth match with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. I don't think that would have been really the most attractive option. So overall, again, it wasn't a bad match. I think it was really good. Those spots with Cesaro were good. It just it was just disappointing the way that this match ended. And we all knew it was coming out next with Roman Reigns. So, any other thoughts on the chamber for SmackDown?
Here's the thing about Cesaro. Like, for the first time in my life, I saw Cesaro as a main eventer. Like, I felt he could be in that position. And I don't know what has changed for me personally with him. But it's just, there's something about him that's very captivating. Like, this is something I wish the WWE does more often, and I'll give you an example. Something about a moveset. So everybody knows his uppercut elbows or forearms are absolutely insane. Like, his uppercuts are nuts. I would love to see the WWE wrestlers basically try to do like little uppercuts, and then when Cesaro does it, like knock them on their feet or knock them outside of the ring or something crazy like that. Like, I want his uppercuts to be a signature part about his kit that no one else can do it like him. And I know they kind of do it with like the flying uppercut and stuff like that, but I feel like there's so much potential there. And it's kind of like when Bobby Lashley started using his new finisher, and he just made it his own. I feel like it's such a move set that really works for his character. I would love to see them push that move even more, even though it's just a generic hit. Now, the whole match as a whole, I thought it was a solid match. I thought there was a funny moment. I will say this about Sami Zayn. I thought he was the most entertaining I've ever seen him tonight. Like, he's so funny. Like, even inside the cage, I thought he was super hilarious. Did you catch the poor referee who got hit in the head with the plexiglass when it broke accidentally?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, see, I'm going to probably make a video on that tomorrow. Basically, what happened is there was a spot where they're just throwing him inside the plexiglass. When the back plexiglass broke up, and the poor girl basically went out and got hit, and it was so funny, but at the same time I was concerned about her. But like, it doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl. Like, I always get concerned when something like that happens. But she's a boss. She played it off so well. And honestly, to be completely honest, no joke, I think she's the best referee the WWE has by far. She's actually came up through the system on NXT, and she's been doing an amazing job. So I'm really happy that she's doing well. And I thought the match was good, man. I thought another okay match, but again, I don't think anything was really memorable.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I do remember the spot. I just don't remember seeing the referee get hit, and they kind of ignored the fact that the glass got blasted backwards. The other thing too about King Corbin, man, this dude needs some kind of transformation at this point. The whole King Corbin, I'm the king of the ring, and it's feeling beyond stale. I would say that we are constantly reminded of the fact that he's a Golden Gloves boxing champion, right? We are constantly, it's like the one thing that they just can harp on and harp on and harp on. The problem with that is, while it's admirable, it's a hell of an accomplishment, they don't, or Corbin doesn't use it in his arsenal at all. I mean, he has the same standard punches as everybody else, so I don't know how him being a Golden Gloves boxing champion translates into the success that he has in WWE, which is
I know,
next to nothing. So
I know.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'll tell you. It's to set up the Tyson Fury versus King Corbin future match
main event
at WrestleMania. No? Is that not going to happen?
oh, please don't give him ideas. Oh,
hey,
Lord.
Listen, I'll say this. I know a lot of people don't like Baron Corbin, and I do think he's kind of stale and kind of boring. I'll be honest. I think this is the best I've seen him look in a while. I thought his strikes actually looked pretty vicious, man. Like, I thought his punches looked pretty good on the outside of the Elimination Chamber there. I thought he looked dominating. He had a few really nice physical moments in the ring. Yeah. I don't know what it is about Baron Corbin or King Corbin, whatever the hell. I don't feel like there's a gimmick that works for him. Maybe it's time for him to be in a stable, like a legitimate stable, something so he's not the main guy, but he can kind of be like kind of the grunt worker in the stable. I don't know how. I think a gimmick change would always, be nice, because I do think there is, not a need for Baron Corbin, but I feel it would be a loss if he left. I do, because I think he's talented enough and he has a good enough presence, and I honestly truly believe he has one of the nicest skill sets in the entire wrestling, out of all the wrestlers, because I just love the moves. Like, I love the spin move he does. What do you call that? Not the end of days. No, not that's finisher. The one before that, God, man.
Deep Six?
Killed me. Deep Six, thank you. I love the Deep Six. I think it's one of the nicest moves. The end of days is the most protected finisher in wrestling, right? So
nobody kicks out.
Yeah. And that's crazy if you think about it in this day and era. Even someone kicked out of Aleister Black's kick, but that was a botch. But that's a whole other story.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Well, I think that Daniel Bryan winning again as we get to the title match, I think people forgot that Paul Heyman had said immediately following that match that individual would get a championship match against Roman Reigns. And I think some people were under the impression, the way that the video package was put together, the promo before the match, that Paul Heyman didn't say in the promo that immediately following, they just said that the winner would be awarded a match. So I think that some people maybe forgot that Paul Heyman said it was going to immediately follow and thought maybe it's going to be the end of the night. But it makes total sense, given Roman Reigns is a heel right now, taking advantage of somebody that just went through hell to defend the championship against them. Daniel Bryan hits the yes lock on him immediately, which was one of the most smooth transitions from a spear to any maneuver I've ever seen in my life. It was so flawlessly done between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. I mean, I love that. You get a little bit of a hope spot, but we all knew what the eventual outcome was going to be. Roman Reigns just decimating Daniel Bryan, like, uncomfortably, and I think that's the point, and mission accomplished. Those forearms to the face. Daniel Bryan's not even able to defend himself. He hits the guillotine on him. He's not even conscious, and Roman Reigns retains. But then Edge shows up. So what'd you think?
You're listening to the WWE Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
So you guys want to check out some really cool apparel and accessories while at the same time supporting a veteran-owned business? Then check out MaccabeeApparel.com. That's Maccabee, MaccabeeApparel.com. That's MaccabeeApparel.com. So what's really cool and unique about the clothing and accessories that are sold on here is it's a biblical warrior theme. Yeah, how often do you hear that, right? And the clothing on here is everything from a gym shirt to just a plain old t-shirt. There's jackets, there's backpacks, and there's polo shirts. So really, there's everything you could think of to wear that has a biblical warrior theme. And the accessories are everything from coffee mugs to decals to a phone case to ties, magnets, and everything in between. So check out MaccabeeApparel.com. That's MaccabeeApparel.com. Apparel.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at Maccabee Army, or on Instagram at Maccabee_apparel, or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Maccabee Apparel. Again, Maccabee is spelled Maccabee. Go check it out and go support a veteran-owned business today.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
I don't know. Like it's one of those weird situations. Once again, I thought it was the most predictable moment with the Edge coming back. Like I'm like, okay, like even with my video that I did on the Botch Guy on the YouTube there, like I honestly, truly, I was like, okay, when is he coming? Where's the spear coming? Like it's gonna come, and once again it happens, right? So. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Daniel Bryan, having that match or winning originally and then having the match Roman, I knew it was going to be a quick match after that. I think it was just a set. And that's why I don't feel like it made much sense with Daniel Bryan, because you knew it would be much more enjoyable if they gave Cesaro that win and then maybe take Roman Reigns 15 minutes,
right.
And having a nice thing and then have that moment with Edge, right? At least then it would be you still get a nice big rub. Like these are the little things that I feel like, Matt, even if you were writing like for the WWE or I'm writing for the WWE or a casual fan even, like I feel like some of this stuff is so common sense. It's kind of crazy where they don't think the way we think. Is that like maybe I'm just a wrestling mark, but like I feel like it's just so obvious a chance to give a good rub, and then especially if you're going to have him lose anyway, and no one's going to look down at him, right?
No.
Because, he just had a match in the Elimination Chamber, right? So it just makes perfect sense. But again, the Edge moment, everybody knew it was going to happen. I'm curious what's going to happen here, how they're going to, build this up. But my interest level starting pretty low. Like I don't have that. Oh, I can't wait to see Roman Reigns versus Edge. Not even a little bit. Like it, and that's terrible for me because he won the Royal Rumble, right? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Edge is one of my favorites of all time. Edge is also, I think, one of the best, if not the best, current promo guy right now. Edge can cut a promo and make me feel. So while we are starting from ground zero and there's no backstory with Roman and Edge, there's no history. It's not like Roman and Edge were in the company and had a little bit of a tussle or some kind of dirt. There's nothing. I mean, we are literally starting from zero, which does kind of make all the fans feel, They're like, okay, well, let's see what happens, right? And you knew Vince was going to choose this match. He's not going to go to Finn Balor. He's not going to go to Drew and have babyface versus babyface and make the fans choose between Drew and the beloved Edge. It's really the choice. I understand why he's making this choice between Edge and Roman Reigns. I understand it. I get it. But yeah, we're starting from zero. But the thing is, circling back, Edge can cut a hell of a promo. When Edge is in his mode, he is damn good and can make you feel. They've got enough time to build a story. It's not like WrestleMania is in a couple of weeks. They've got like 8 weeks until WrestleMania. They do have time to build this and shoot promos and sit down interviews. And Roman has in a heel role excelled phenomenally in his kind of quiet anger. He's got Paul Heyman if he needs to lean on for additional help with his promos. This, while we say it's kind of boring and right now, it's because there's nothing there other than, okay, they've speared one another. There's no backstory. We don't feel anything yet, but I think that will come with time. To your point about the whole deal with the writers, well, here's the problem. The writers write for Vince McMahon. They don't write for the fans. That's the problem, is the writers feel that they are writing for what Vince will like so that they can keep their jobs rather than what they probably know is a better idea, but they're too scared to bring it forward and write for what they think Vince likes. See, that's the problem. So, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and that's exactly spot on. Man, you're on fire today, eh? Did you have one of those Red Bulls or something? You are good. You are good.
No, really I'm heated about losing my conversation last night. So,
and I agree. I agree. They have time to book something, get us to be invested. I feel like the only way that it's going to happen is if Roman Reigns does something really crazy against Christian. Like I feel. Like that is the most obvious way, because like how else are they going to get us invested? I just feel like Christian has to be involved somehow. And I feel like that's the most obvious thing they could do. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that's going to happen as soon as on SmackDown on Friday. So I think that's going to happen. yeah, it's the frustrating thing because you want to be more invested. Like, I'm not saying you particularly, just as a fan, you want to be more invested. But again, they still have time. And I think if they keep doing what they're doing and they go and they actually give a good chance to an Edge to actually get his promo work done and build some actual heat towards that whole match, Roman built some actual heat towards that match with Edge, I feel like it should be at least a good match, but I don't see how they're going to get me emotionally invested unless, of course, even if Christian gets, I don't know. I don't feel emotional investment there at all. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and we shouldn't. There's nothing there. There's nothing there right now other than we have a nostalgic feel for Edge, and we love what Roman's done as a heel. And they're just two separate entities right now, and they haven't come together other than a spear on one another. So we shouldn't really feel much right now. So, no, I don't think that's a bad thing, and it's kind of to be expected. They just have a lot of work to do between now and Mania. Luckily, there's about 8 weeks to go. So, all right, well, moving on to the United States Championship here. Obviously, John Morrison earned his spot here with Keith Lee's absence. But Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle. We'll continue to say Matt Riddle here on this podcast. I'm not canceling his first name. And we get John Morrison. And again, I really enjoyed this match. I thought this was a very good match. I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't a Bobby Lashley retaining, but I said on my pre-show that I said, hey, this is probably going to be a situation where if Bobby Lashley loses, it's to set him up for a bigger event, a bigger elevation, and that's exactly what it was. Thank God. I'm not a fan that Matt Riddle won, considering the fact that he hasn't won a match in probably a few months. It feels like. And he has had the company in a little bit of hot water, well, with his own personal scandals and issues and all that kind of thing. So can he be trusted holding a championship? WWE feels that way, so I guess, that's fine. But I don't know. I was a big fan, and I continue to be a big Bobby Lashley fan. But that said, Bobby Lashley wasn't involved in the decision. That makes sense to me, that if you're going to drop a belt from a hot heel, that he's not even involved in the decision. That protects him. And you have Matt Riddle, who's an excellent in-ring worker. I'm just not a fan of his character. And you get a Bobby Lashley main event possibly now. So I really don't have a problem with this if this is truly to get Bobby Lashley to that next level, and it's not to just elevate Matt Riddle. So that's what I think.
I've always been a big fan of Bobby Lashley. I made a big series on Bobby Lashley.
Oh, the most confused man in the world. Yeah,
that went viral. I've always been, talking about how great he is, and it's nice to see him being booked. This is the best booking I've seen the WWE do all year, and I'm including the Roman Reigns Tribal Chief. I am, because Bobby Lashley went from no one caring about to pretty much everybody I talk to cares about him, and he looks devastating. Like, he looks vicious. He looks like a guy who should have been in the main event scene a little while ago. Like, he looks really good, and he turned a stable into Hurt Business with MVP there, and they turned that into a legitimate stable, and they got picked high in the draft. And Bobby Lashley, I just feel like he's arrived. It's about time. I thought they were going to do something maybe with him and Roman Reigns, but it's kind of nice to see him doing something here with Drew McIntyre. I have no problem with it. But again, I thought it was going to be for the title. So it's kind of weird that they're doing, his big push without a title being involved. Like, that is the interesting part about the whole situation. But as a wrestler, as an entertainer, I think Bobby Lashley is the best he's ever been in his entire career. I truly believe that.
There's no question about it. I think he is the most relevant he's been since he returned to WWE. I think it was a Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, whatever WrestleMania that was. He's been the most relevant now, but way beyond the whole Bobby Lashley posing and Lana nonsense. I mean, think about where he was with the whole Lana situation and Rusev compared to now. I mean, it's the worst of Bobby Lashley and the best of Bobby Lashley in a year. And I am I could not be a bigger fan of what they've done with the Hurt Business. I don't think this is a group that WWE envisioned to be as big and successful as they are. I don't even know how they're actually positioned as a heel group. I've said this before. What they do, they say they're going to kick ass. They come out and they kick ass. They don't really do anything underhanded. They are just a dominating group headed by Bobby Lashley, who is at the top of his game, looking like a monster. This dude has looked like a monster. He has not ever, like, his physique is never ever, it's never changing. It feels like he's just getting in better shape. It's like he's reaching a new level of human evolution. I don't know how he's doing this. And like, his viciousness to me, though, beyond his physique, which is insane, is his viciousness, his facial reactions. Like, he's gritting his teeth. He's looking like an animal. He's not just looking like he's dominant. He's looking like he's on another level. I think even Corey Graves alluded to that. There's something different about Bobby Lashley that it's vicious. It looks unstoppable. And this is what we've been waiting for. It's just going to be a matter of, is it truly to get Bobby Lashley to the main event with Drew McIntyre, or is he a pit stop at Fastlane where the real goal is to get Sheamus and Drew McIntyre there?
Oh my God, I forgot about Fastlane again. For the love of God, Matt.
Fastlane.
Twice now. I forgot about Fastlane. I wish the WWE forgot about Fastlane and
maybe
they actually had some sort of, something different in between, because I feel like Fastlane is like the most forgettable pay-per-view ever.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be cool if they had their own War Games type pay-per-view sometime, somewhere in the year? Like, I'm not saying as a replacement for Fastlane, but I know it's an NXT thing, but I just feel like there's so many cool concepts and gimmicks for pay-per-views, and like Fastlane is where's the Great Balls of Fire at? At least you can pull that one off with the Fiend, right? Like, right? So I don't know. I forgot about Fastlane again, Matt. You go ahead, continue. Sorry, okay. I just have to mention that part.
Fastlane. Okay, so yeah. So again, I think what they're going to do here is probably position Bobby Lashley into the main event with Drew McIntyre. My only kind of like nuance is, we'll get to it, what does Bobby Lashley have to do with taking out Drew McIntyre and then allowing Miz to cash in? Is this, and maybe it's a triple threat that happens at Fastlane. That's my guess. And I don't know. We might as well talk about it in just a couple of minutes, but it's tough because I want to see Bobby Lashley one-on-one, but I could see the Miz sticking his head into this. It's hard. So let's get to the last match before the Elimination Chamber, the final one, and that is the Women's Tag Team Championship, because I really want to talk about the Miz here. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks and Bianca. Here's my quick thoughts on it. I actually really enjoyed this match from a wrestling perspective. It was kind of wonky at the beginning. It felt like it took them a while to kind of gel. There were some botches at the beginning, miscommunications. And it got better as the match went on. I had no problem with the way that this match was set up. I did not want the belts to change hands, because you knew inevitably it was just going to have Sasha and Bianca drop it at probably Fastlane, because that's the next pay-per-view. Don't forget that. That would just mean, okay, they're dropping the belts, they're having a miscommunication, let's get to Sasha and Bianca, which is what we probably all know is going to happen anyway. So I'm glad Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retained. I would like Shayna Baszler to hopefully go off on her own at one point and start breaking people's arms again. I really, really enjoyed that version of Shayna Baszler. To me, that is truly Shayna Baszler. But at least she's holding some kind of gold. They do have a bit of chemistry, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, I think, and it's at least positioning the women's tag team belts on a pay-per-view, not the pre-show, even though they have to create tag teams out of thin air, because there really isn't a women's tag team division. I mean, outside of Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, I mean, they don't have a tag team division in WWE. I mean, let's be honest. NXT has a better roster for sure with the women than do Raw and or SmackDown. So when you have to put people together that aren't a tag team to defend those belts against, you don't have a lot of depth, if any, in the women's tag team division. But Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retaining. Good match, good decision booking wise.
Honestly, I have. And I don't want to be mean or rude or anything, because I'm sure they're amazing women. I have absolutely no interest in Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as a tag team anymore. I thought it was kind of all right when they first started off. I just don't feel it anymore whatsoever. And just like you said, with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, you know what's going to happen. So it's kind of pointless to kind of have them together as well. I felt nothing I thought it was a good match. Like, I thought the match itself was a pretty good match, but I felt nothing. I didn't feel any sort of connection to any of the wrestlers in the ring, except for the fact that, like, once again, I agree that Shayna Baszler should go off on her own and get a more vicious, mean style. Maybe be like a backstage brawler type. Do something creative with her. I think there's definitely avenues you can work with her. As for Nia Jax, I don't know. Like, I don't feel she is good enough to even be on the WWE roster just because she is too raw. And I believe a Performance Center or an NXT run would do wonders for her. But so I don't feel like she should even be on the main roster. But again, like, there's nothing to do with her personally. I think she's I'm hearing she's a great person, genuinely a great person. I just don't feel like she's injured so many wrestlers. You can't keep ignoring that fact, right? And
well,
as for
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say on that whole point with Nia Jax, she has fired back at fans a lot of times on this, and the fans do troll her, sometimes unfairly, sometimes there have been a couple of occasions where it really may not have been Nia Jax's fault, but more often than not, the majority of the time it is obviously accidental on the part of Nia Jax, but you have to eventually hold her accountable and go, look, there's only so many times you can just say, oh, it was an accident, before you go, okay, maybe she does need to take a little bit of extra time, put her in the Performance Center, and I don't mean this in body shaming way at all. Look, her size is an asset to her, and I mean that in a way that it's a way that differentiates her from the rest of the Barbie dolls at times, or the women that are just all about athletics. She looks different, and that's certainly an asset to her. That said, she has had to have double knee surgery. She does move slower in the ring. She has a lot more weight than the women that she's working with. She has more weight than some of the men on the roster. So with that said, I mean, physics takes over. It's not about body shaming. It's just a fact that she poses a higher risk working with other women that are a quarter of her size. I mean, because if you accidentally land on somebody wrong, somebody that's your weight, it's not going to pose the same danger as if somebody's 3 times my size and lands on me wrong. It's just physics, guys. So those of you that are thinking, oh, you're body, I'm not. I just think she poses a higher risk because she moves slower and has a lot more mass to her. And when you do that, it does, I think, attribute to her list of injuries. But yeah, I'll make that point. Go ahead.
Honestly, I feel like, I hope that society as a whole has been like, is far enough into the future now that we're not body shaming people anymore. And I know it does happen, social media can be vicious, but like, I hope that we're good humans and genuine humans to the point that we're past that point of body shaming and putting people down because of her weight or stuff like that. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not like the thinnest person in the world either. And I don't hear very often people body shaming me, for example. And it's maybe because of what I do, right? But it drives me nuts when people do it. That's actually one of the, Matt, let me just say this. Like, one of the nice things about YouTube is they have an option to filter out like specific words, and I filter out those words because I don't want to have that on my channel, for example, right? And I wish you could do that with some things on Twitter as well, right?
I know.
But I feel bad for her that she does get bullied all this time. But I'm hoping that it's not really bullying. I hope that, like, it is bullying. There's a lot of bullies out there, but I'm hoping like she can take the baits and taking like just the fact that people want to see her do well and get better as a wrestler.
Yes,
that's why I feel like if she goes down and she'll improve, and then when she comes up, she'll be in a much better state, a much better kind of shape for her like potential future, right? And I'm not talking about shape as in body. I'm just talking about overall as her talent level in the WWE. So I feel like that would help her a lot. So I agree with everything you said. Once again, you're on. If you guys listening on the radio tonight, Matt has done his homework today. He is so good today, guys. I'm just letting you know. So you guys got to keep listening because this is good stuff from Matt today. You're on your game, buddy.
Well, I don't think you read the entire script I gave you to say, so just kind of check your notes there. There's a little more you missed.
Sorry, I forgot to hype you up a little bit more.
Yeah, no. I'll PayPal you the rest of what I owe you. So yeah, no. Look, to kind of put a little bow on the Nia Jax deal, again, it's not about body shaming. Are there bullies? Yes, there's bullies all the time. Especially when you look at somebody that looks like Nia Jax. It's just, first of all, that's immaturity. It's just you're just a bad person if you're at this stage in the game and you're body shaming somebody for being overweight. I mean, Nia Jax makes more money than probably the majority of us watching, right? So, look, I have nothing against Nia Jax whatsoever. I think she's a good talent. We all, I think, that are listening want to see her succeed. My whole thing for her could be something. I just don't know what that is. Sometimes organic things like that. Suplex City was an organic thing. Becky Lynch getting punched in the face by Nia Jax and bleeding was an organic thing. The what chants or from Austin were organic. The yes movement was organic. So my whole thing for Nia Jax, could that turn into something? I think they need to be careful because my whole references something very, very risky when you're in a PG environment. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, we're getting way off of the Women's Tag Team Championship. I think that them holding the belts right now, I'm a little bit higher than you are on their chemistry, but I'm not over the moon with them. I think they are single stars, but the problem is, does WWE want to break up a team that has a little bit of momentum in a division that has almost no contenders? So there is that. Any final thoughts before we get to this lovely main event?
No, I think we covered most of it, to be honest. I thought that was like, wow, they got a pretty good run there too. Like I'm actually, I'm sure they love this when they're tuning into this and listening to you as well. So I think we're good on there. I think we can move on to the next Elimination Chamber match. But I will like to quickly say, Asuka wasn't around. Nope. Like, what's the story there? Do you know?
I don't know. Honestly, Asuka hasn't been around a lot lately. I mean, it's not. I'm not putting this on Asuka. I'm putting this on Creative for taking the WWE Raw Women's Championship and just hiding it in the shadows over the last several months. And, I know that I felt like they were doing that to just wait until Charlotte returns. They were putting Asuka in a holding pattern. They didn't know what to do with her, and they just waited for Charlotte to return to ultimately get to Asuka versus Charlotte, which I still think is going to be WrestleMania. But the Raw Women's Championship has gone, MIA over the last several months. I mean, it's not just a few weeks. We're talking months now that the Raw Women's Championship is barely even talked about. Lacey Evans wanted to challenge for it. The last time that Asuka challenged anybody, she had to force Lana into that match. She had to tell Lana, look, no, I'm going to give you a Raw Women's Championship match, which was several months ago. I mean, outside of that, it's kind of a sad deal because we love Asuka. Most of us we all recognize her talent, and at least it's being held by somebody that is beloved and is respected. But the problem is that the championship itself isn't getting any spotlight at all. It's the 24/7 titles got more airtime than the Raw Women's Championship. So what do you think the hell's going on?
I have no idea, and I don't even know why she has the title, right? I have to think about it. Doesn't that say everything? I said this before, and I'll say this again. She needs a manager. She needs a manager more than she's ever needed a manager. I think she has all the talent in the world, but she needs someone to hype up her programs. And I still believe Paul Heyman is the perfect person for her, but I don't see that happening right now. But she needs a manager. Like, whoever is listening to this, let Vince know. One of you people working with Vince, give her a manager, please. Like, she needs it because she has everything to be a top echelon talent in the WWE that not just the hardcore people like, but the casuals, because she has charisma, she has talent, but she needs someone to build up storylines for her because unfortunately she does have a bit of a language problem barrier there, and it hurts her. And I feel like they have such an opportunity to really push her to even another level if she gets a proper manager. So I feel she needs a manager. I do.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, she does, and I don't mind her quirkiness at times. I don't mind that she says things that are just, she's a walking cartoon with her facial expressions. Yeah. She's just way over the top to the point where it's like, okay, this has to be on purpose because it can't be like she's trying to not overact. She has to be purposely overacting, which kind of makes it endearing. And she can be a heel or a babyface. I enjoy both of her characters, but yeah, she needs to learn, either put more time into learning the English language to communicate with the audience in the United States that majority speak English, or she needs to, again, as you said, have a manager. I mean, I wish we could clone Paul Heyman and just stick her with him, but She does need somebody. I don't know, and I don't mean subtitles, right? Like I don't want Vince to go to the production truck and do subtitles.
God,
no.
Can you imagine the outlash?
Oh my God, no!
Like I think as a heel character when she first started out, if they did subtitles as like a joke,
right?
I think it would get a lot of heat. But can you imagine them doing subtitles now after all this time?
Oh my!
Vince is gonna do it. She's gonna come out to do lovely subtitles. That was close.
Oh, that was really close.
The lovely subtitles on Monday Night Raw. You know what's happening, buddy. You know what's happening.
Oh no! Oh, I would laugh, and then I would just sit with popcorn and watch Twitter. I would watch Twitter get set on fire. That's what I would do. Oh my God! Yeah. So. Okay, let's get to this main event here. Drew McIntyre defends his WWE Championship against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston. I'm going to ask you, do you want me to go first, or are you feeling extra anxious about talking about this match?
Oh, so you're giving me the option?
Yeah.
Okay,
what do you want? You want to take it first?
I'll take this one
because. All right.
Let me quickly just say, Kofi Kingston. Every time he has a match, I'm all invested in him because. I don't know what it is about Kofi Kingston, but man, is he ever talented, man? Like, honestly, is he not one of the most talented people you've ever seen in the WWE? Everything he does with class. Like, everything. Like, the way he sells, the way his athleticism works. I just feel like Kofi Kingston, like, you could drop him in on any type of program and match, and you know he'll be just a huge standout. So let me just quickly give some love to Kofi there. As for the match itself, I thought it was super weird where Randy Orton got eliminated completely out of nowhere against Kofi Kingston, right? And I thought the Fiend, some program was going to happen either during the match or after the match was over. I thought something was going to happen with the Fiend and Randy Orton because, I don't know, they've been hinting it for like a month and a half now, right? Like, so what happened? Like, I guess they're saving it for Monday Night Raw, right? Like, Matt, what do you like? Just on quickly on that part, like, where was the Fiend?
I'm actually starting to believe that perhaps Randy Orton did actually light Bray Wyatt on fire and not the dummy. I mean, like, did we actually kill somebody?
Yeah, right.
Like, was Bray Wyatt actually murdered on TV and WWE's trying to make it a storyline? I mean, I don't know, man. He's being reborn. I guess Alexa Bliss is going to sit in her pentagram and throw some dust around until he comes back. Yeah. So here's what I think about the match quickly. I thought it was good. You knew that you were going to get a spot fest from Jeff Hardy, who was there to just take bumps and do crazy spots. I was very surprised, but also disappointed that Randy Orton got eliminated first. This is a guy that is being built up with the Fiend, an unbeatable character, and yet he gets eliminated by a roll-up from Kofi Kingston? I mean, really? Was it just supposed to be a shock moment? I thought that was a little bit...
It is a shock moment. I was shocked.
Yeah, I guess, but okay, outside of the shock, when that wears off, you're left with, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? Randy Orton he beat the Fiend by lighting his ass on fire, and now he's being beaten by a roll-up. I mean, it's just, yeah, come on. It's one of those moments. I don't agree with Randy Orton going out first. I really disagree with that, actually. I thought, it should have been in order. It should have been Jeff Hardy going first. I think it should have been probably Kofi Kingston going second, AJ Styles, then Sheamus, and then obviously Drew McIntyre, or Randy Orton, then Drew McIntyre. But again, this is really focused on Drew McIntyre and Sheamus as well. There's also that dynamic. What did you think about the whole dynamic with Drew and Sheamus, and Sheamus looking dominant for quite a while?
I thought it was underwhelming. I thought they could have done a lot more creative spots. It was just your typical heavy-duty beatdown or heavy-duty aggressive match, which we've seen a million times with these two individuals and which we've seen with Sheamus as a whole. I feel like he has enough talent and enough personality that they can develop his moveset and the way he wrestles in a little bit more of a creative light. You do not just have to have him being the big, heavy-duty punching guy. Baron Corbin already did that earlier in the whole his Elimination Chamber there. So it's not that I'm not a fan of Sheamus. I actually am a big fan of Sheamus. I think he has an immense amount of talent. I just feel like every time I watch Sheamus, I feel it's like it's the same character I've seen for the last 6 years, even though he gets these like small little gimmick changes in between. So I thought it was fine. Like, again, like, I thought the match itself once again was fine, but there's something. It's just nothing stood out to me today. Like nothing made me say I'm gonna watch this again in like a few weeks or a few months or whatever. Like there's nothing that makes me come back. Like maybe I'll come back to see if the Miz girl showed up there and I missed it or something funny like that. But like nothing really stood out for me. Except for maybe Cesaro's, what he did with the amazing pull-ups that he was doing. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I've been saying that a lot this lovely radio show here, but I just feel like there's such a missed opportunity with a lot of these wrestlers, and then having what happened. I want to hear your opinion first. Like, what do you think, The Miz?
Well, first of all, let me give you an appetizer. Just kind of wrapping up the chamber match itself.
Yeah, great.
AJ Styles entering the match by Omos tearing off the barricade.
Oh, that was cool.
Well, it was a cool spot, except for when you peel back the logic of it, and you're like, wait a minute. So if people just bust out of their chambers, is that legal? Do we have to worry about it? I mean, there is no disqualification. I get it, but like. So it's kind of like when somebody gets eliminated from the Royal Rumble and they inevitably come back in and eliminate somebody else. So that you can have somebody who's not a legal competitor in the match eliminate somebody that's legal. I mean, it's all, I guess, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's like, really? So you can just come in the match at any time? You just have to bust through the plexiglass?
I never thought about it that way.
Sorry.
I thought about it more. No, it's I apologize. I just want to quickly tune it, pitch in onto this type of situation. Like, so I took it as, he's just kind of helping AJ Styles there. It's a no disqualification match anyway, and all the competitors, even though technically they all didn't get ringed in, I took it as like Elimination Chamber is not. It doesn't have to be in order. I just took it as like someone has to win by the end of the match. So I didn't take it that way, but I could definitely see it as being taken that way. And now, come to think of it, as I'm thinking about it, maybe I should be thinking about it that way. Yeah,
he's a legal competitor. But when you looked at the rules, which they laid out, it's every 2 minutes, I think, a new competitor is entered into the match. So he should have waited those 2 minutes. Or he should have, a referee should have come out and said, hey, wait, no. I know you busted out of your pod, but you cannot come into this match until the timer goes down, because that's an actual written part of the rules in this match. So, I mean, they'll never do that ever. And I understand that.
Actually?
Yeah.
Is that an actual written? I really need to look. Is there actually a WWE rule book out there?
God.
I actually would love to do a video on that. I think that would be hilarious. To go over some of this stuff for real.
It would be a slaughter of the current product when you look at all the rules that they follow when they want to conveniently, when storylines align with some of the rules and other times they don't. Like the rule of somebody has to defend a championship every 30 days. Asuka would be stripped of it, 3 months ago if that was the case, right? Like there's so many things that are arbitrary that they pick and choose when they want. So if there's a rule book out there, like WWE needs to publish one, I would purchase it so quickly.
They won. I would be and we could do it together. We could go over on your radio show all the different rules. I think that would be so funny. Seriously.
Oh my God! It would be hilarious to see them. The problem, they'd never ever do it, but I think they should, even as like kind of a comedy deal. Like, okay, you have a count of 5 until you have you can have somebody in the corner before you get disqualified. If they hold the ropes, they can't tap out. Like you have to break the hold. Like things like that. They should put something together. I'm very, very interested in that. Yeah. So WWE, if you're listening, please do. I really do think there's an audience for that. I think people would buy it. Okay, so. Outside of that, I mean, we get Drew McIntyre winning, which I think most of us probably chose him retaining. Outside chance of Sheamus or maybe AJ Styles winning. I don't think anybody believed that Kofi Mania 2 was going to happen. That would have been to me, it would have been absolutely insane to have Kofi Mania 2 happen. Because
I would have loved it.
No, I am on the opposite. Look,
how ridiculous it would be. That's why.
It would have been insane. I'm a Kofi Kingston in-ring fan. I am not a Kofi Kingston New Day fan at all. Like, I mean, I'm not I think that his championship run, and people disagree with me completely on this, and that's fine. That's what makes wrestling wrestling. I think that his run as champion, as WWE champion, was exciting at first, and then after he lost it to Brock Lesnar, he just goes, I'm back and throwing pancakes. Like, well, dude, you just lost the thing that you fought for, won at WrestleMania, and now you're throwing pancakes the next week after Brock Lesnar beat you in 5 seconds. I mean, I didn't like his reaction to it. But anyway, so... Yes, The Miz. God almighty, The Miz comes out. Bobby Lashley, though, attacks Drew McIntyre. brutally. I mean, just very viciously puts him in the hurt lock, slams him down. The Miz comes out, and, for whatever reason, there's still a delay of like a minute between when the briefcase gets handed to the referee and when the bell rings, which to me it should be instantaneous. There should be never a delay. But the Miz comes out, he hits a couple of moves, Drew McIntyre kicks out, skull-crushing finale, boom, the Miz is champion. And I am sitting here going, no, oh my God, no. I mean, I tweeted out a couple of select 4-letter words. I was effing pissed, and not in a way that, again, this is not heel heat for me. People say, oh, you're angry, that's the goal. No, the goal is not for me to want to change the channel. To stop watching the product is not the goal, right? Like, the goal for heel heat, what heel heat does and what it should do, is make you angry enough to pay money to see that heel get their ass kicked. Big difference. And I don't feel that with the Miz. I despise the Miz's character because, number one, it's not heel heat. With Morrison and him, it's not a way that makes me want to pay money to see him get beat. But it also is, to me, a complete freeze in time of their characters. Miz has not evolved at all since he has been in WWE. I mean, seriously. When you look at what he's done, he's had moments, shining moments on SmackDowns, talking smack. He's had a few good promos with Dolph Ziggler when they fought over the IC title. Like, he's had those moments. But overall, generally, his body of work, he has looked the same. He has said the same things. His catchphrases have remained the exact same. He has had next to zero evolution in his character. He's stuck as a 16-year-old boy in high school with Morrison doing pranks and bad humor. The only thing I think I despise more in WWE right now is the fact that when they bring in celebrities, they're allowed to never look bad. They can just slap people in the face and they never get any kind of retribution on them. That's the only thing I dislike more. For example, Bad Bunny right now is probably the most the biggest thing that I have a problem with in WWE outside of the Miz right now as champion. I'm really trying hard not to cuss, so I'm going to stop and toss the baton to you.
Hey, I will say one thing. Remember Machine Gun Kelly taking a beautiful power bomb on the outside by Kevin Owens there. That was
Kevin Federline with John Cena.
Yeah, yep. I love that. And that was another one. So, like, it does happen, but, like, you're right. Like, it's very rare you would see it because they don't want to touch, your guy, right? Even Stephen Arnell actually had a really good match too. Like, they've had the good celebrity moments, but, like, this doesn't make sense because you don't need the Miz winning the WWE Championship at this time with no booking, like, with no lead up whatsoever. Like, just because he's the guy with the thing, I get it. Okay, I understand that the Money in the Bank gets you that opportunity. But, like, really? Like, who cares? Like, I don't care about The Miz right now. I have no interest in him. I was shocked when I saw it. I was just shocked. Like, I was reacting positively, but I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, when you see something happen, you have that initial moment and you're excited and you're like, whoa. And then you think about it 2 seconds later and you're like, oh, no. Right?
Yes.
Like, because that's what happened with me. Like, my initial thoughts were like, whoa, this is crazy. It's happening. And then I'm like, oh, no, it's happening. Well, now what? Oh, my God, it's Bad Bunny. He's going to be doing something with Bad Bunny. And I've never heard of Bad Bunny in my life. Like, honestly. I never heard of this guy. I do. I know he's super famous. I've never heard of him. Before he showed up in WWE, I guess I am your prototypical person that they want to, or he wants me to look up Bad Bunny. But I've never heard of him, and I'm not sure, Matt. Have you heard of him?
Nope. And again, until he has the most downloads on Spotify, and people are calling into my mailbag, leaving me voicemails. Hey, you don't know who Bad Bunny is? He's super big. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, to me, I understand what WWE's doing, that crossover audience. He has a ton of people that listen to his music, and look, congrats to him. That's great. He makes a bunch of music, and he's super famous. The point to me, though, that how famous you are is irrelevant when you come into the professional wrestling creative world, because I care about the guys and gals that are in the day-to-day world of wrestling, whether you make them look like fools and then that celebrity goes away and you're still left with egg on your face and that person's gone. Like that's most of the time what happens with celebrities. I've never heard of Bad Bunny. I have zero interest. I actually think he's a heel, even though they're trying to position him as a babyface with Damian Priest. He slapped The Miz, and I can't stand The Miz. And when I actually wanted to see The Miz punch him in the face, and I can't stand The Miz at all, that really speaks volumes to where Bad Bunny sits on my list. And having him run his mouth and then have Damian Priest really do the dirty work of standing up to The Miz. I mean, it's such a cowardly thing to do, number one. I don't like his personality. The fact that he, I don't know if his future's so bright that he has to wear sunglasses everywhere. I don't know what it is, what's attractive to me about Bad Bunny that I have to be behind him because he's a big music star. I don't give a damn. I don't care that Bad Bunny is a big music star. I care about watching wrestling. If I want to listen to music, I go on Spotify or go Apple Music or I go wherever. Like, I know what they're doing business-wise. They're trying to bring in more eyeballs. I get it. They're a for-profit company. But I have less than zero. Like, if there could be a negative interest, that's what I have in Bad Bunny. And I actually hope he somehow, and I'm not trying to cause ill will on anybody, but if he accidentally gets injured and can't be at WrestleMania, I will not shed a tear, bat an eye, or think twice. It would be a good day at the office if we never see Bad Bunny on my screen again. I mean, I have zero interest unless they're positioning him as a heel and he takes a big bump, of which there's probably no chance of that. So, oh, God. All right.
Honestly, I'm corpsing from that one comment.
Oh, God.
Eyeglass, like, he must be so thick because he's wearing glasses all the. Oh, man, that was so funny. That was really good, man.
Well, it's just, all right. Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
You know what? I have no interest in Bad Bunny. I have no interest in The Miz right now just because they didn't book him for me to have any interest in me. That could change on Monday. It could. They could figure out something interesting to do with him. I just don't see it happening. I truly do see something to do with Bad Bunny here. Oh my God! Can you imagine? Oh my God! Am I going to say this?
it.
Can you imagine if Bad Bunny wins the WWE Championship?
No, they couldn't dare. I don't think they'd go that far.
They did give a kid who was like, what was his name? The kid with the tag team champion,
Braun Strowman. I can't.
But that was a cute moment because it's a kid, and like that was kind of stupid, but at the same time, like
if it was like for Make-A-Wish, like okay,
yeah, it was a cute moment, and it was a Make-A-Wish thing from what I heard. Like I don't know, I'm not 100% sure if that's the right, but I think you're right. It was a Make-A-Wish, so I'm okay. I'm always down for stuff like that. Sure. Like I'm always okay with that. Especially, like, it doesn't happen too often, right? And they really didn't have much going on with the tag team division anywhere at the time. So, like, I was perfectly fine with that. And honestly, Braun Strowman looks legitimately like he could win the tag team championship by himself, right? Like, it's credible enough in a situation now. And I honestly, that's the Make-A-Wish stuff. I actually love what the WWE does. Like, that's one of my all-time favorite charity stuff that they do. No joke. John Cena, for example, has done amazing.
I think he's the record holder. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I have, all the respect in the world for that because, a long time ago I used to work, with kids who had disabilities and stuff like that. And, they weren't passing away anytime soon, but like they were still struggling. And it's nice to see, that those faces light up, right? So love that type of stuff. Don't care about Bad Bunny. The Miz cashing in. I don't know, man. Like there's not really much else to say about it. Like we just got to wait and see on Monday and, tomorrow.
I guess I'll kind of close in this because if I don't, I'm going to rant, and maybe I'll do that on the side after our conversation's over here on my own, just on my own. But the one thing about your reaction when you said that, you were kind of like positive about it, and then you were like, well, wait, what the hell am I cheering for? I think that's a lot of when we're looking at a moment that we know is something that's significant that we're going to remember, we're excited about what we're watching, but the consequence of what we're watching follows very quickly thereafter, right? Like we're excited, like, oh, cool, we're seeing a moment, which is why I think you're right. If fans were there, they would have actually not cheered, but maybe yelled when The Miz came out, like, because they know that they're about to witness a moment. And it's then afterwards the effect of The Miz actually winning, fans will go, oh, right? Like, so there is that initial reaction, that excitement of, like, okay, you're finally going to see something that you're going to be here for to see. So, yeah, I understand that reaction. I mean, I was down on it completely all the way through. I was hoping that he would cash in, fail, and we could just move on from him being the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I think a lot of this also is to just get, number one, a little bit of a buzz going. any buzz WWE gets, they always feel like it's a positive thing.
It worked on my video. It worked. The buzz
your video.
there.
That's very true. And also, I think they also want that percentage of how many cash-ins the Money in the Bank briefcase holder has had. That percentage of number of whoever's cashed in, like, I don't know, it's like 80%. Maybe they push it over 90% of the cash-ins have been successful. So maybe they're trying to get that percentage up that they can give us that statistic come May when it's Money in the Bank time. Here's what I think. Final thought, and then I'll toss it to you, is that it gets to a three-way, triple threat between Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and The Miz at Fastlane, and maybe Drew McIntyre recaptures, and then Bobby Lashley is going to be one-on-one with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and The Miz kind of just goes away. I don't see The Miz in the main event of WrestleMania. If they put Miz in the main event of WrestleMania, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. I may stop podcasting for like a while.
Yeah, you're not going to stop podcasting. You're going to watch.
I'll put an explicit tag on my podcast. Yeah. What am I kidding?
Like all of us, we're doing this until we're dead and buried in the ground by the Undertaker after he comes out of retirement again for the 76,000th time.
I know.
Honestly, I just want to say just a big thank you once again for having me on this just an incredible podcast, really. Like I'm not like, I know you paid me to say that, but honestly, I'm just joking, by the way. He didn't pay me to say that, but you do a fantastic job, and I do appreciate all the love you give me on my channel, man. It's really nice. Like I do notice a big spike in my subscriber base, and we're getting so close to that 70K. It just keeps going up, and maybe one day I'll hit that 100, and then I can retire and unretire like the Undertaker again. And it's good stuff, man. But honestly, just thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure. Just thank you so much for supporting the Botch Guy, man, and supporting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And the next time that we talk, of course, will be in 4 weeks. And don't forget, Fastlane.
Fastlane, what?
Fastlane in 4 weeks. Everybody go check out YouTube's Botch Guy. It's certainly entertaining. It's a really fun to watch, easy, quick. It's not long videos at all, and very quick to get up as well. So, Botch Guy, thank you so much, and we will do this again in 4 weeks.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll see you in 4 weeks, buddy. Fastlane.
All right, man. Take care.